Hello again, everybody. Louis Kachui here. Another beautiful day of just getting out of work, and everybody loves that feeling. Can't go wrong with that feeling. When there's no more work to be done, it's time to do literally anything else. This is gonna be better, tons better. And I was thinking today, I'm gonna share a cool story about one time way back when I was a child, and my friends and I had Ed and Eddie type adventures going all over the place. There was a local, like a insane asylum slash hospital, and we would always run through the abandoned structures. The state had completely forgotten about it, and it went into ruins. And it must have been about size of a small golf course, like the total property. We're talking over 10 buildings, massive, like huge buildings, 4 floors each, and you could get in just about anywhere. There was a broken window, broken door. Of course, you had to avoid. There's occasionally, I guess, it's like they kind of had security. Maybe. I mean, the police definitely drove through because they knew how much fun it was, so they wanted to keep us out of it. But we still obviously went and had fun. And I was fortunately able to save some small memorabilia from this place. So I'll feed that into today's story. But essentially, there was a rehabilitation center building on the campus. I'll call it the campus. And we liked it because it had the pool, it had bowling alley, it had 2 bowling lanes, but still, it's a bowling alley. More bowling lanes than I have. Um, and we would go there, just mess around. Actually, I still have one of the bowling pins. I'll show you that too. Let me go get that. Look at that. Proof it happened. But yeah, I got the bowling pin. We'd run through the bowling alley. I like to do my amateur spray paint, pretend I was a graffiti artist, do my little words with arrows. Everybody loves words with arrows. The more confusing, the better. Um, and my buddies and I were trying to get to the roof. We find this ladder. It's got one of these metal hatches at the top of the ladder where you open the door upwards. And I guess my one buddy just didn't see his clearance there. He was going up the ladder and didn't remember to duck or nothing, but he he hit about like right where your hair starts, like between the forehead and the hair, and you just see a little red line come down his face, and he's like, "I don't feel too good," and we were like, "Oh no, what do we do? Oh, he just broke his head and he's gonna bleed to death, and we don't want to get in trouble because we're not supposed to be here." So what we did was we took a bandana and tied it like a oh my god, like a Mr. Magoo's Christmas, like a Ebenezer Scrooge, like one of those old timey cartoons. If they had a toothache, they'd tie a rag around their head. He had it like tied exactly like that, and he looked ridiculous because the blood was still coming forward, and we tied the rag around sideways. So he just looks like a mess with a toothache, and we're trying to drag him through this abandoned building and avoid the car driving around. And the route we had taken required us to run across about 2 baseball fields length of just open grass. And I forget who it was, but somebody ended up just grabbing him by the ankle because he fell over, and we dragged him and got him back to his feet when we were at the trail. Stood him up, took him home, and got a good yelling at by his folks. And somehow he recovered. That was crazy. Um, but essentially, it's all right. So I guess that story didn't play into these things that I have here, but they're still really cool. I'm happy to have gotten them. I guess the first thing I'll show kind of date. Second thing I'll show. I showed the bowling pin already. That's the first thing. Second thing I'll show kind of dates I guess the abandonment of the place, but it's a Clinton and Gore campaign button. which I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. I'm not that old, but I'm not that young either. I don't remember these guys. Um, so I found that in a desk. That was fun. Um, what else do I get? Sneezed. But the second thing I have here, I actually ripped off the outside of the buildings because this will be, dove into later down the road. But I'm a huge fan of Fallout, the video game. And on one of the buildings was one of these bad boys, an old Fallout shelter. The start here is obliterated, but I think that just adds to the coolness. It's very neat, very interesting. I like it. It was a pain to get out of the bricks. They had it, what do you call it, riveted in, and this is metal, so I had to come back with tools to get it. But I got it. I knew for damn sure they were gonna decommission that whole area, dump it in the dumpster, and that thing would have never seen the light of day. But now it sees the light of day when I let it. And the third thing I've got is this surgical journal that we got from the basement level. It was like a morgue or a crematorium, and you would see all different types of vials and syringes full of things that were probably old and fermented or just in general gross. And I was like looking at this book and I decided it was not cursed enough to remain. It was just, what am I trying to say? It was lacking just enough curse to be taken. And it's, give you an idea what's inside. Just all the old tools they would use. And occasionally on a page you'll see a example containing an actual person. And yeah, I should have picked out a page or two to like put in here. But essentially this thing is really cool. I think it's dated back to the 80s, something like that. But yeah, massive encyclopedia, and it says medical clinic on the side, just in case mid surgery a doctor forgets what he needs or what that persnickety little tool is that he can save the day with. He just presses pause and he's like, "Ah, let me hit the book." And this is what they did back in the day before Google. I couldn't Google it, couldn't type that in. This was their Google. And you had to lie there in anesthesia and wait for him to find that Therbopalizer. I'll end this video with a little medical mallet. Just play around with your mind on what that could have been used for. Till next time, I'll whip something up nice for the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching.